illegal drugs, dangerous gang activity, transnational criminal organizations, and illegal immigration flow across our border. As part of what DoD does every day in terms of force protection, we're looking into options for the military to build wall on military installations on the border.
.652 here on the Big 550 KTRS. Of course, the president has said he wants to deploy the National Guard to the border. Let's talk about it with Karen Travers, ABC News correspondent. I should correct myself and say the Mexican border. Karen, good morning. Nice to have you on.
Good morning. Thank you.
You know, for those who are not too hip on this, which is understandable, this is not the first time that presidents have sent troops to the border.
Yeah, President Bush did it in 2006. President Obama did it in 2010. So it's not unheard of. It certainly is something under the president's authority. I think it's just the way that this whole process has unrolled this week. The president mentioned it and seemed to take a lot of his senior aides by surprise when he first brought it up as something he was considering. He had been briefed last week and told that he had the authority to do it, and it's certainly been something he's very much keyed in on in the last couple of days. I went back and looked at my notes. When President Bush announced this in 2006, he actually delivered a rare primetime address with details of how this was going to happen, and they provided a lot of background briefing on it. And then the president himself went to the border to tour the border in Arizona. This is a little bit different. This certainly seems to be coming together very quickly. The White House doesn't have details on how many troops, how long will they stay, how much will it cost. One thing we do know is what they can and cannot do. They can't do law enforcement functions. They can't arrest illegal border crossers. They will likely be a support role, helping border agencies with things like surveillance and administrative tasks.
And when Bush did this, it was some 6,000 troops from a number of different states. And for President Obama, it was a smaller number, some 1,200 troops.
But about 1,200.
To me, the real question, though, Karen Travers, is who's not going to participate? I mean, we've already heard from Kate Brown in Oregon saying, I'm not sending any of my National Guard members down there.
Yeah, the reaction from the border state governors, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, all Republicans, have been welcoming the president's push to send in the National Guard, saying, help is needed. California has had a more of a lukewarm Democratic governor, of course, saying, not so fast. We just want to see more details as this plan is developed. Because, just 2 days ago, White House officials were telling us that the plan was still very much in the works, that it wasn't close to being announced, but the president really, really wanted to move forward quickly on this.
And the part two is, my question right off the bat is, can a governor say, terribly sorry, federal government, I'm not sending my troops, and the federal government, of course, they're not technically the governor's troops, I guess you could say. So could they turn them down? And if so, I wonder what the repercussions would be.
Well, for the president to have the authority to dictate exactly how this would play out, they would have to be mobilized as a federal force. And our understanding right now is that that's not what the administration is looking to do, that governors would control these National Guard troops within their own states.
I wonder if there's going to be, as you touched on earlier, if there will be some kind of an agreement that can be made so that this will not have to happen.
Agreement with whom?
In the sense that the president can be told basically by his cabinet members and others to say, look, this is going to be great optics, but beyond that, you're probably not going to catch anybody, because I saw some numbers that, other than that group that was coming up from South America and marching across Mexico, the number of illegal border crossings has dropped precipitously. In fact, in this country, I believe the numbers have shifted around. I think there are more people actually going back to Mexico because the economy there has improved.
The administration was asked questions about, why now, why this seems so urgent all of a sudden, and they say, the numbers in the general broad sense are down, but they're expecting an uptick, which tends to happen at this time of year.
Very good. Karen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Karen Travers,